Hare Krishna. Welcome to the lockdown program with Krishna under the umbrella of Govardhan Hill. Today we are reading and discussing the most beautiful Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Welcome to the lockdown. Today on the 12th of December 2020. Welcome Samir. Welcome Pandava Prabhu Bhagavati Mataji Amit Dharma. Let's do some Kirtan. Kirtan Baba, how are you doing? Are you doing well? We had a beautiful session, Pandava Prabhu, on Wednesday. And it was so interesting that the devotees said we want to go until 9 o'clock. But today is Saturday. Today we are scheduled for up till 9 o'clock. How are you?
Thank you. We are okay. We are welcome you too also on this wonderful
lockdown with
evening.
Krishna.
Okay.
I'm not very well, but
your audio sounds okay. Let's start the Kirtan. The microphone is all ears, Pandava Prabhu and Bhagavati Mataji. Hare Krishna. We're looking forward to your wonderful Kirtan.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva
Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Guru Deva Guru Deva Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva
Jaya Guru Deva Guru Deva Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Pandava Prabhu Bhagavati Mataji, beautiful Kirtan, beautiful tune, a very well-known tune. It will go around in the head for hours and days, probably. Thank you so much for that. Welcome to the lockdown. Welcome Zamir. Welcome Dharm, Jayanti Bai, Pandava Prabhu Bhagavati Mataji, Amit. Varshana will join a bit later. Amar will join a bit later. Ben, I don't know. Okay. Are you all well? Samir, how are you? Are you still in Africa?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, everybody. Yes. Dhanavad pranams to everyone, dear devotees. Yeah, I'm still in Africa. Yes, until next week.
Are you back?
I'm back next week. Yeah.
Oh, you're back next week. Let me know when you're back. I will put you back on the texting list for the Saturday program. So you will receive text, SMS messages.
No
right?
problem.
So you have a very safe flight back if we don't meet in between. Are we still meeting you in Africa on Wednesday, or?
No, I should be landing Wednesday, so it just depends how tired I am. I'll join you if I'm not tired in the evening.
Okay. Sorry, so you come on Wednesday. Okay, great. Dharm, yes, you got booted out, and I saw that in time, so I put the recording back on. That never happened before, but that can happen, yes. Jayanti Bai, I hope you are well, frontline worker. Bhagavati Mataji, frontline worker as well, and Pandava Prabhu, you all. So later on, towards the end, would love to hear a little bit how your preaching is going in the warehouse and so on, and how your preaching, Samir, in Africa is also going. It was so nice when you had two girls chanting Hare Krishna. You must have recruited a dozen devotees by now, and I would love to hear after the Bhagavatam, love to hear a little bit from you how things are developing in Africa regarding Krishna consciousness. Amit, Hare Krishna, welcome also here. I hope your activism and activities are going well. You're having meetings and you bringing the vegan and vegetarian recipes to the people, and people will actually move from a meat-based diet to a plant-based diet. That is very much wanted, that is needed for the environment, that is needed for their own upliftment from the platform of ignorance, tamagun, to a higher level. Just Rashmi joined us. Rashmi's clock is going 15 minutes late, so you have to excuse her. I'm just joking. Welcome, Rashmi. I just said we want to hear after the Bhagavatam, we want to hear a little bit how everyone is doing in their working environment, because we haven't heard a long time from you and your group and others as well. So after Bhagavatam, we would love to hear a little bit how things are developing in the hospital and in your group. So, welcome everybody. Now we jump into the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Very important. I just mentioned to someone today, it is so important. This Bhagavatam is not Bhagavad Gita, where you can hear a verse in the 18th chapter verse, in the 5th chapter verse, and then a yoga chapter verse. No, it's not like that. The Bhagavatam is meant to be heard from the first shloka till the 9th canto, from 1 all up to 9, because it is building the house of bhakti. And if you build a house and the foundation, you're missing a brick here and a brick there, then the whole house will crumble in due course of time. One shloka builds on the next, and the next, and the next. And if we miss any of the shlokas, then we're recording everything, and I make that available. So catch it up, otherwise you might be left behind. I would not want to see anybody left behind, because after all, if we reach to the higher shlokas, or even before, Srila Prabhupada says by arriving at the 9th canto, one will be a liberated soul. Liberated soul means, of course, not under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature. And as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Buddha Prasanatmana Shochatina Kangshati. On that liberated platform, we are happy within ourselves under any circumstances. There's no more lamentation, there's no more hankering. All this is gone. We are established in joyful, blissful consciousness. Everybody tries in this world very much to attain a little bit of some happiness and some peace. But that is all under certain conditions. We can be under certain conditions, we can be happy. And if the conditions are not met, we are unhappy. So here we're speaking that liberated Brahma Buddha platform. We are happy and peaceful under any conditions. No outside condition can influence that, because we are fixed in that joyful prasanatma, happiness within. Now, if anybody wouldn't want such a state, even the ordinary man, they have to get that happiness by going to the pub and drinking a few pints, and then they can be happy, and after it turns into a hangover, and there's always a setback. But that happiness we're speaking about on the liberated platform, free from the 3 modes of material nature, that is a happiness without any external stimulus. So I'm saying that we, if we miss a session, try to catch it up. That is a brick. Every session is a brick in the house of bhakti. And if that house is built without many or any bricks missing, then that house will be strong and will achieve its goal in the end. Okay. Our shloka for today is 1st Canto, 2nd chapter, text 24. And it is right here in the chat area, 1, 2, 24. I will take that first shloka, and then others can read, and we take turns. And let's see how far we go, reserving some special space at the end for hearing about all of your different experiences in your different environments. This is very inspiring for everyone. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 24. Partivad daruno dumas tasmad agnis trayi maya tamazas rajas tasmat sattvam yad brahma darshanam. Translation. Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood, and fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is best because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As explained above, one can get release from the conditioned life of material existence by devotional service to the personality of Godhead. It is further comprehended herein that one has to rise to the platform of the mode of goodness, sattva, so that one can be eligible for the devotional service of the Lord. But if there are impediments on the progressive path, anyone, even from the platform of tamas, can gradually rise to the sattva platform by the expert direction of the spiritual master. Sincere candidates must therefore approach an expert spiritual master for such a progressive march, and the bona fide expert spiritual master is competent to direct a disciple from any stage of life, tamas, rajas, or sattva. It is a mistake, therefore, to consider that worship of any quality or any form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally beneficial. Except Vishnu, all separated forms are manifested under the conditions of material energy, and therefore the forms of the material energy cannot help anyone to rise to the platform of sattva, which alone can liberate a person from material bondage. The uncivilized state of life, or the life of the lower animals, is controlled by the mode of tamas. The civilized life of man, with a passion for various types of material benefits, is a stage of rajas. The rajas stage of life gives a slight clue to the realization of the absolute truth in the forms of fine sentiments in philosophy, art, and culture, with moral and ethical principles. But the mode of sattva is a still higher stage of material quality, which actually helps one in realizing the absolute truth. In other words, there is a qualitative difference between the different kinds of worshipping methods, as well as the respective results derived from the predominating deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Hara. Hare Krishna. Hara, of course, is Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, and Hara. So let's just have a bit of a look. I made some notes here. A bit of a look of a summary in this verse. For instance, it says here at the very beginning, Srila Prabhupada writes, as explained above, one can get release from the conditioned life of material existence. So, question. What conditioned life? What are these conditions? What does it mean? Anybody can answer that? We get release from the conditioned life of material existence. What does it mean, conditioned life? Conditions, what are the conditions? Who can say? That is Samir, yes?
Conditioned life is birth, death, old age, and disease.
Yes, but are there any other conditions like happiness only under certain circumstances? These are also conditions. People generally, or we, are happy under certain conditions. Not too hot, not too cold, sufficient money, social circle, not locked down with no pubs, cinema, parties, shopping, alcohol, and friends. These are conditions. Imagine we can be happy without those conditions, happy and peaceful under any circumstances. Wouldn't that be a desirable state? And this can be achieved by Krishna consciousness. So, without this condition, that is conditioned life. Going a little bit further, Srila Prabhupada explains, except Vishnu, all separated forms are manifested under the conditions of material energy, and therefore the forms of material energy cannot help one to rise to the platform of sattva, which alone can liberate a person from material bondage. Well, that makes sense. So this lower, or anything which is materially tinged, cannot help us to get free of the tinge, so to speak. Interesting was also, Srila Prabhupada writes, in the mode of rajas, passion. And these modes are everywhere, everywhere. All our life is pervaded by these three modes of nature and a mixture of them. And at different times, we are in a predominant different mode. And these modes are always competing with each other. So sometimes we feel like in one mode and later we are predominated by a different mode. So in this interesting, Srila Prabhupada writes, in this rajas, in this material quality of passion, a slight clue, only a slight clue. In tamas, in ignorance, in that quality, there is no clue at all. But in the rajas, a higher mode, up from tamas, there is a slight clue to the realization of the absolute truth in the forms of fine sentiments in philosophy, art, and culture with moral and ethical principles. So that tells us, and I'm sure, Amit, you will agree to that, anybody who has moral and ethical principles and these sentiments cultivated in philosophy, art, and so on, this is a higher state of consciousness, because there are people that have no, these sentiments are not existing. They have no moral or ethical principles. As we know, these people do exist, absolutely without any moral compass, just me, I, me, and mine. So anybody a little bit above this quality of ignorance, on the quality of passion, there, yes, he can develop these finer sentiments of and moral principles and ethical principles. And above this, of course, then is the sattva guna. So in summary of this shloka, it could be said, we spoke about the modes, Srila Prabhupada spoke about the modes, three modes of nature, one is better than the other, and one can rise higher from the quality of ignorance to the quality of passion to the quality of goodness by expert guidance, which means expert guidance of the spiritual master. Then Srila Prabhupada explains tamas, the quality of ignorance, is animal life, uncivilized life. Rajas, the middle mode of passion, is civilized life, and a slight clue of self-realization, as we just mentioned. Sattva, the highest stage of material quality, it helps one in self-realization. So unless we come to that sattva, to that goodness, quality of goodness, there will be very difficult to come to the stage of self-realization. But again, by the expert guidance of Guru and devotees, we can achieve that. So in short, different worship, different quality, material qualities, and we achieve a different result. The question could be raised, what if someone is not religious and doesn't care about worshipping demigods or whatever? So how does that apply, that verse? How is that practical in modern life? Because, we're speaking about worshipping Vishnu, worshipping demigods, but if someone is not religious at all, if someone is not interested, it doesn't believe in demigods and doesn't believe in Vishnu, this is all very special knowledge. So what is the position of someone like that? Anyone can elaborate on that a bit? Because we're speaking about worship. Who could? Samir.
In the Gita, it's saying that if they start by doing pious activities, like giving in charity and doing these things, then eventually they come up to the stage of worship. So obviously there's other religions as well, but even if they're not following those religions, then they must do pious activities, do in the mode of goodness, and then gradually they come to that stage.
Okay, yes, that gradually rising up, that is true. But what if we have to explain that outside of the context of Krishna consciousness, outside of the context of religion, we could say everyone worships someone or something. You might say, no, I disagree. But worship, what does it mean, worship? Idealizes, right? It may be a celebrity. It may be Welcome Ben. It may be a football star. It may be a very rich or famous person, or just money, wife, children, family. It may just mean spending all or most of one's time discussing and hearing about these different categories in newspapers, TV, cinema, literature. This is what worship also means. So worship doesn't just mean in the temple waving a ghee lamp. Worship means what people spend their time with. People worship money. People worship football stars. That's their idols. Celebrities, the big celebrity culture. Generally, the people, they worship celebrities. They want to become like them. They want to also become celebrities. Therefore, say, putting all that same makeup on and all and making their body just to look like their favorite celebrity. So everybody does actually worship someone or something. There's nobody who doesn't look up to some example. So here, the Bhagavatam is meant. We're not discussing newspapers, TV, cinema, literature, and so on. We're discussing the pastimes of the Lord. So our narrative is very different. And that narrative with the potency of Krishna, that's purifying. People don't get purified by the narratives of newspapers. They rather get anxiety, or TV or cinema. They rather get lusty by what is depicted there. So this is also what this verse is about, and what it's a very practical thing. It's not just applying to Krishna consciousness, ISKCON, or whatever we might say, or any religion. No, it's beyond religion. It's just a fact of life. That everybody worships someone and something. And here the case is made, just instead of listening to all these other narratives, let's engage with a narrative about Krishna's transcendental pastime. And the result will be very, very different. Okay, that's all. Anyone has to say something, any questions, any comments to that 24th shloka? In a practical context, perhaps? Because this Bhagavatam needs to be seen in the context of today's society. And it can be seen in that context. It's not something which we reading and discussing, but it has nothing to do with our day-to-day life. It has everything to do with our day-to-day life. As we mentioned before, Srila Prabhupada says, if we study this Bhagavatam step by step, chapter by chapter, sloka by sloka, canto by at the end of the 9th canto will be liberated soul. What does it mean, liberated soul? It means, again, Brahma Buddha Prasanatma. No hankering, no lamenting, always joyful, always happy within ourselves without any external help. Who wouldn't want to become like that? Because right now people have to can only become happy under certain conditions. If they can go to the pub, I mean, people are so unhappy with this lockdown. For someone in the liberated state, lockdown or not lockdown is all the same, no difference. But for the majority of people, they're restricted in their social contacts. They're restricted in quite a gross way of their concerns. They cannot go to the pub. They cannot drink their beer. The pub is closing at 10 o'clock at night. They cannot go to mass gatherings and cinemas and so on. Well, that is quite astonishing. So that is very, very practical. So if there are no questions, let's move on. Shloka 25. Maybe someone else, we can take turn and someone else can read 25. Who wants to have a go? Pandava or Bhagavati Mataji, whoever it is. Go ahead.
I can read this one if you want, Prabhu.
I think Pandava had his hands up first.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't see
you do the next one, yes?
Okay.
Okay, the microphone is all yours.
No. Pandava, Bhagavati is a little bit away because of the not being well. So text 25. Bejire munayot hagre Bhagavantam adokshajam Sattvam Vishuddham Kshemaya Kalpanteyan Yutanniha. Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his existence above the 3 modes of material nature. They worshipped him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world. Purport. The The purpose of performing religion is neither to profit by material gain, nor to get the simple knowledge of discerning matter from spirit. The ultimate aim of religious performances is to release oneself from material bondage and regain the life of freedom in transcendental world where the personality of Godhead is Supreme Person. Laws of religion, therefore, are directly enacted by the personality of Godhead, and except for the Mahajans or the authorized agents of the Lord, no one knows the purpose of religion. There are 12 particular agents of the Lord who know the purpose of religion, and all of them render transcendental service unto Him. Persons who desire their own good may follow these Mahajans and thus attain the supreme benefit.
Thank you, Pandava Prabhu. Can you say a few words about that shloka and purport by Srila
Prabhupada? So here is, after the previous verse, we get the information that after somebody gets to the level of goodness, practically may rise to the platform of great sages and then render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond material nature. So all these religions, also we know from, we can read from Bhagavad Gita, they can be affected by ignorance, passion, or goodness. And it means that the worshipper has some desire, their own personal desire. And Prabhupada simply, let's say, shrink this in purport for mainly for personal material gain, or to get simple knowledge of dividing or getting understanding what spirit and what is matter. So, like Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, that 4 types of people worship God. These are people who have different problems. The other part is the one who wants some material profit. The next group, smaller, are philosophers and thinkers. And finally, the ones who really want to know the Supreme God. So all these people are affected by certain goals. They don't see and they don't understand what is service for the personality of Godhead. God is perceived as a cosmic supplier, and worshippers think that's the main business of God, to support the worshippers, to offer them goods, to help them in their problems, to help them in their education, to achieve different aims or material standards. And finally, those who are a little bit more on the subtle level, when they get to the spiritual inquiry, they see the difference between all these material gains, and they strive for something spiritual, so they want to get liberation. But these are all these purposes are contaminated by material ideas, And as Prabhupada said here, only Mahajans, authorized agents of the Lord, know what is actually purpose of religion. And these Mahajans are coming and they teach. So that's why for general public, it's kind of hard to understand that religion is not meant for a profit or any personal desires, but for pleasing the Supreme Lord. So, and the services we are, or people are doing for our own concepts, they could be connected as the service for the Lord. And then this could become a true religion, which means Sanatan Dharma, because Sanatan Dharma means the true nature of each soul, which is connection and rendering service for the Supreme Soul. But of course, to get to this position of rendering service, somebody has to purify his existence at least up to the level of goodness. So,
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank
That was
you.
a beautiful summary, this verse. You spoke about the 12 Mahajans. There are 12. I looked it up exactly and made a note here. Who are the 12 Mahajans? Some we know, others we may not know. Here they are. Lord Brahma. Mahajans means, as Pandava Prabhu explained, great authorities. Authorities in spiritual subject matters. Like there are so many authorities on the material platform. There are authorities of certain scientists. Einstein is an authority, Newton is an authority, Darwin is taken as authority, and so on. And political figures are taken as authority, and philosophical figures are taken as authority, and in law and legal affairs, certain judgments are taken as authority. So there's authority everywhere. Without authority, a society cannot function. So here we have also authority, but spiritual authority. Great sages on the liberated platform. 12 Mahajan, Lord Brahma. Then there is Janaka. I didn't even know that. Janaka, the father of Sita Devi, Lord Ram's consort. He is a Mahajan. He is a liberated soul. He's a great authority on devotional service. Then there's Prahlad. Okay, we know Prahlad is a Mahajan. Lord Shiva is a Mahajan. Bhishma Deva, Pitamaha, he is a Mahajan. And while on the bed of arrows, he spoke about Dharma and lots of topics, important topics, to the assembled devotees. And Lord Krishna was present, and Pandavas were present, and Kauravas were present, and everyone. So Lord Bhishma Dev, Pitamaha is a Mahajan, and Yamaraj is a Mahajan. I think we have covered that when we looked into the 6th canto of Ajamil, the story. So Yamaraj is a Mahajan. Narada Muni is a Mahajan. We are not surprised. Kapila, Lord Kapila is a Mahajan. The Kumaras, the 4 Kumaras, they are Mahajans. Manu, father of mankind. Manu, the different Manus we spoke last time. How many Manus are in one day of Brahma? Many Manus. So Manu, the present day Manu, all the Manus there, Mahajan. Bali Maharaj, who gave away the 3 steps of land to Vamanadev, and he was asking for the 3rd step on his head. So Bali Maharaj, he is a Mahajan, and Shukadev Goswami is number 12. He's also a Mahajan. So these are the 12 Mahajans that will come up again and again. And I have another question here. get release, it's mentioned here, material bondage. What is that? Get release, freedom. Everyone wants freedom. And here I'll try to make the bridge to modern day understanding. People want freedom. Freedom, everybody looks after freedom. The whole political drama with Brexit is meant to be free from the European influence. And people looking in political sphere for freedom, in a personal sphere, in all kinds of spheres, freedom from bondage. So here, following the Mahajans, the great authority, we get supreme benefit. We get freedom, liberation. Following the liberated, we also achieve liberation. So that's important. Following those who have achieved liberation and hearing about them and following their instruction, we also get that liberation. Do we want that liberation, or are we content with our present situation? Generally, people are content with their present situation. You ask a drunkard in the street, how are you? I'm all right. Are you happy? Oh, yes, I'm happy. He's lying in the street with a can of beer in his hand and in a dirty condition, and he thinks he's happy. Or do we think we can improve our situation by some material adjustment? That's another thing. In that mode of Raja, people trying to improve their material condition by some material adjustments. We're all trying to do that. But these adjustments never really work. They don't work. An example I have given many times before, out of personal experience, if you're traveling in a car, or it may be at home as well, wherever, but the car is a good example, particularly now in the winter. You turn the heating on fully, because it's cold. And after some time, it's too hot. You turn it down again, then it becomes too cold. Then you turn it up again, it becomes too hot. To find the point where it's just right, you may even find that point, but only for a very short time. It is never all right. We never find that material adjustment which suits us and is just right, and we can be happy. So this example can be taken to any material condition. Of course, in the mode of sattva gun, there is a sense of happiness and contentment. We think we are all right. We are all right. We are content. We have no too much problems, and we are okay. We have everything in measures. So we don't have too much impetus of moving forward from that sattva gun, because it's quite a comfortable position. It's the most comfortable position of all the three material qualities, except the tamagun, the ignorant fool. He also feels, the drunkard in the street, he also feels comfortable, but he isn't. So, but only if we come to that sattva gun platform and we inquire a bit further. We're not just satisfied. We might even think we are all right. So, but we will be kicked out of that situation sooner or later. And who knows what our next birth will be? We don't know. So we're taking a great risk if we don't come to the liberated platform. Generally, people don't think that far. What happens after I die? Oh, that's a long time away. No, it's not a long time away. A life passes very quickly. In no time. I'm 70 years now. Where did that 70 years go? Where have they gone? I remember I was 16. I remember I was 8. I was a teenager, then in my 20s, and did all. I can see right in front of me everything what I did in this lifetime. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Everything I can remember. Everything, how my whole journey went. But how did time pass by? I'm the same person. The body has changed. The body gets these problems, and the knees goes, and that, and forgetfulness comes in, and respiratory problems, and this and that. So time has passed by very quickly. Before I know, I was 16, I was 20 and 25, and suddenly, all of a sudden, I'm 70. And the years which are left there can be counted. They can be counted. People generally, I do take a walk, try to do every morning a walk and chanting my japa, and I'm not happy in Evington, in Victoria Park, because there's so many runners and I don't find peace there. So someone told me, go to the old Welford Cemetery. It's a big old place, a very old cemetery with 150 years and more, 1800 something. There are some memorials. And I walk there. There's a bit hill as well, and it's nice to get a bit exercise. So there are people, there are just memories left. There are just, all what is there is a memorials. Everything's the same thing in loving memory and so on. There are names and numbers. That's all. So life is passing by very, very quickly. So and interesting to see, looking at these memorials and looking at the numbers, most people left this body in that cemetery. Most people left the body 50 years, 60 years, a few 80 years. Nothing more than that. 80 years. Many 50, 40, 48 years old, and then they died. So being in one's 70s, one can easily calculate at most 10 more years. Most. So what is 10 years? It goes by in a flash. So if we are a little bit lower than 70, we are on the 60s, 50s, I think everybody is above 40 here. So time is passing by quickly. So we can look ahead and see what can we achieve in this lifetime. How can we make this lifetime successful? Last time we heard the beautiful purport and explanation of Agni Dev Prabhu, where he spoke about Hari Hari Bifale, the song by Narottam Das Thakur. Oh my Lord, I have wasted my life, he's lamenting. Welcome, Vashana Mataji. I wasted my life. I was supposed to worship Radha Krishna. I just put it off, and now I'm ready to leave this body. It is not the case that within the last few years of our life we quickly become Krishna conscious. No, it's not. It doesn't work like that. We have to practice. We have to work towards it our whole life. Whenever we became aware of the path of liberation. Otherwise, at the end, we will just feel like Narottam Das Thakur prescribed, I have wasted my life. I have taken care of so many other things. But you, my Lord, you never was a priority. Pandava Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your additional meaning. Since you mentioned for, I guess, second time today, those who enjoy alcohol, at least that the way I understood.
Yes.
I would like to share with you all a small fragment from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
Oh, beautiful.
It's not directly connected to the verses, but I mean, I think, it's still connected. So it's a fragment when Lord Chaitanya was still living in Navadvip before taking sannyas. And it is said here, it's not really long, so please bear with me. So it is said like that. The Lord was fond of going about in Navadvip, accompanied by his associates. One day he came to outer precincts of the town and happened to pass by a drinking place. As he smelled the wine, he was reminded of Varuni, a similar intoxicating drink made from honey, which is a big favorite of Sri Balaram. Immediately, the Lord was overcome with the emotions of Balaram. In a trance, he loudly shouted to Shivas Pandit, "Let's go inside." When the Lord insisted, Shivas fell to his feet and begged him not to go inside. The Lord said, "Do I also have to be restricted by rules and regulations?" Nevertheless, Shivas Pandit continued to dissuade the Lord from his decision. Shivas Pandit explained, "You are the universal Father and the perfect example. If you transgress the social laws, then who will be left to uphold them? Those who out of ignorance will criticize you will certainly have to suffer lifetimes of misery. You are the emblem of eternal religious principles. Who will be able to divine the pastimes you are about to display? Considering this, if you insist on going into the drinking house, then I shall drown myself in the Ganga." The Lord Chaitanya never minimizes the vows of his devotees. Upon hearing Shiva's words, he smiled happily and said, "I do not want to act against your wish. I will not go inside." Gradually, the Lord withdrew within himself the mood of Balaram and continued upon his way. However, when the drunkards from inside the drinking house saw Nimai, they became excited and called out loudly after him, "Hari, Hari!" One of them said, "Yes, Nimai Pandit is a good and honorable person. I like his behavior and especially the way he sings and dances." Few of them stood up, swaying unsteadily and clapping their hands, started to hop around, making an attempt to dance. They tried to go out and meet Nimai in the street. The drunks were not well worked up. The drunks were now well worked up, and at full volume sang "Haribol, Haribol, Jai Narayan," and danced about in great joy. The drinking place quickly became the scene of loud, joyous chanting of Hari's name. Such reactions are understandable in anyone who sees the Supreme Lord Vishnu and his pure devotees, the Vaishnavas. The Lord was pleased by the intoxicated efforts of the drunkards in chanting the holy name, and Shivas Pandit's heart melted with tears of happiness on seeing this display of the Lord's transcendental potency. The drunkards were very happy to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the envious people found fault and criticized the Lord. Those offenders who become displeased when they hear the glories of the Supreme Lord will never know any joy in any birth. Therefore, I offer my obeisances to the soul who beholds the Supreme Lord with faith, even if he be a drunkard. The Lord blessed the drunks with his glance and went away.
Haribol! How is that? What a beautiful account. Oh my God.
So it sounds like even those days in Navadvip, there were places like pubs.
Of course.
And people used to drink, of course. But we have this experience from going out on the streets with Harinam, that there are so many reactions, and sometimes those drunkards are really kind of funny because they join the Kirtan also. So
that's a fact. That's a fact. That's my personal experience when we do Harinam in the street. So first people approaching us are the drunkards. These are the first people, because
Well,
other people they are
because
just too paka.
much more restricted now.
Yes, may I contribute also? I have spoken about that before, long time, so maybe not everybody heard that, certainly not you, Pandava Prabhu, because it was a long time ago. A story about a contemporary story about a drunkard. He was, that was in Russia. He was so drunk. He was constantly drinking every day. And one day he just drank too much. And he fell down on the street unconscious, ready to leave his body. So he had in the past a contact with a devotee who showed him and even gave him three Isopanishad. One of the Upanishads, Isopanishad. You might know this little softback little booklet, Sri Ishopanishad, Om Purnamada Purnamidam, and so on, first verse, and so on. Very important book. At one point we should also study. So, on the top cover is Lord Keshava, Vishnu, with Ananta Shesha over his head. You may have seen that. So, this chap had absolutely no intention of reading that book, but somehow or other he appreciated that picture. That looked strange. He has never seen anything like that. So he took that book, and because he liked the picture. So while he was laying in the street, ready to leave his body, he heard a court case, like a court case, Yamaraj's court, so to speak. He remembered on the point of leaving the body, and we will have to go through that too. Maybe not as devotees in such a strong way, but there is, at the time of death, there is a judgment. All life is examined. Like I said before, life is very short. That life will be examined. These are facts. So that is not just some Bhagavatam aloof of practical consideration in the modern world, where we have to work and earning money and solving the economic problem, and we are so busy and this and that. We all have to die. So here is explained that he witnessing that court case, he was just witnessing. There were a prosecutor, so to speak, he was saying he has done this and he has done that in his life, and when he was 24 he did that, and when he was 25 he did that and this and that. And there was a defense. He said, but he did also some good things. He did that. He helped that woman over the street once, and like that. So there was forth and back, but it became obvious as the prosecution case was getting stronger and the defense was getting weaker, and there were little points and eventually no more points in his favor. It was just all negative, and the judgment was, this man has to go to hell, to the Platonic kingdom, to the lower planets for punishment. This man has to suffer. And he was frightened like anything. At that moment, that picture of the Isopanishad of Lord Keshava, four-handed Lord Vishnu with Ananta Shesha, appeared in his mind, appeared right in front of him. And it wasn't just a picture. Ananta Shesha was moving. It was Lord Vishnu personally, just because he appreciated that picture. He appreciated Lord Keshava when he got this book. And in an instant, he woke up to full consciousness, completely shaking off his drunken stupor, frightened, and he jumped up and he ran to the next Hare Krishna temple, and he became a devotee. Beautiful, true story. We know that story because he told that story to the devotees when he came to the temple. So, just see, even a drunkard, by just appreciating even just a picture of Lord Vishnu, what to speak of a drunkard saying, oh yeah, Hare Krishna, I like you, Hare Krishna, Hare. All these are good points. Agyata Sukriti, we spoke about that many times, unintentional engagement, praising the Lord, or not even with the intention of praising, even with the intention of making fun. But still, it's a sound vibration of the Lord. All this has so much spiritual potency that counts in favor of that person. And in due course of time, that favor will help them. So I just thought that was a very nice contemporary story. Every time I'm amazed about that story. True story. So here we go. So that is the practical side of Krishna consciousness. He can save us from the darkest hour. Hare Krishna. Anyone else has to say something to that shloka? Any question, any comments before we move on to the next one? We got now 8:15. We go a few more shlokas. So, no question? Then I would invite someone else to read text 26. Rashmi, thank you.
I can do it here. Text 26. Mumuksavo ghora rupam huta bhuta patinnat ataha narayan kala santa bhajantiya anusuyavaha anasuyavaha. Translation. Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious and they respect all, yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, who is the original person of the Vishnu categories, expands himself in two different categories, namely integrated plenary portion and separated parts and parcels. The separated parts and parcels are the servitors, and the integrated plenary portions of Vishnu Tattva are the worshipable objects of service. All demigods who are empowered by the Supreme Lord are also separated parts and parcels. They do not belong to the categories of Vishnu Tattva. The Vishnu Tattvas are living beings equally as powerful as the original form of the personality of Godhead, and they display different categories of power in consideration of different times and circumstances. The separated parts and parcels are powerful by limitation. They do not have unlimited power like the Vishnu Tattvas. Therefore, one should never classify the Vishnu Tattvas or the plenary portions of Narayan, the personality of Godhead, in the same categories with the parts and parcels. If anyone does so, he becomes at once an offender by the name Pasandi. In the age of Kali, many foolish persons commit such unlawful offences and equalize the two categories. The separated parts and parcels have different positions in the estimation of material powers, and some of them are like Kal Bhairav, Shamshan Bhairav, Sani, Mahakali and Chandika. These demigods are worshipped mostly by those who are in the lowest categories of the mode of darkness or ignorance. Other demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Surya, Ganesh, and many similar deities are worshipped by men in the mode of passion, urged on by the desire for material enjoyment. But those who are actually situated in the mode of goodness, Sattvagun, of material nature, worship only Vishnu Tattva. The Vishnu Tattvas are represented by various names and forms such as Narayan, Damodar, Vaman, Govinda and Adhoksaja. The qualified Brahmins worship the Vishnu Tattvas represented by the Shaligram Shila, and some of the higher castes like the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas also generally worship the Vishnu Tattvas. Highly qualified Brahmins situated in the mode of goodness have no grudges against the mode of worship of others. They have all respect for other demigods even though they may look ghastly, like Kal Bhairav or Mahakali. They know very well that these horrible features of the Supreme Lord are also different servitors of the Lord under different conditions, yet they reject the worship of both horrible and attractive features of the demigods, and they concentrate only on the forms of Vishnu because they are serious about liberation from the material conditions. The demigods, even to the stage of Brahma, the supreme of all the demigods, cannot offer liberation to anyone. Hiranyakashipu underwent a severe type of penance to become eternal in life, but his worshipable deity Brahma could not satisfy him with such blessings. Therefore Vishnu and no one else is called Muktipada, or the personality of Godhead, who can bestow upon us mukti, liberation. The demigods, being like other living entities in the material world, are also liquidated at the time of annihilation of the material structure. They are themselves unable to get liberation. What to speak of giving liberation to their devotees? The demigods can award the worshippers some temporary benefit only and not the ultimate one. It is for this reason only that candidates for liberation deliberately reject the worship of the demigods, although they have no disrespect for any of them.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Rashmi. Thank you very much. Can you summarize that, what we have heard? Say a little bit something.
Actually, we discussed this in detail on Wednesday about the demigod worship. So that we are not taught by any of the scriptures or by the guru to disrespect the demigods. We respect all the demigods. However, we worship, our worshipable deity should be Krishna or Vishnu Tattva, because if we water the roots of the tree, all the branches and fruits and everybody is ultimately satisfied. So we water the root of the tree, which is Krishna, Vishnu Tattva. This is what we discussed on Wednesday. And then in this verse, what is Vishnu Tattva is described. Vishnu Tattva are, Prabhupada told us that it is in all the forms like Narayan, Damodar, Govind, Vaman. I guess Ram will also be, Lord Ram will be Vishnu Tattva. And in the actual translation, it says Ghora Rupam. Ghor means horrible. The translation of Ghor is horrible. So some of Ghor and Rupam is form. So some of the demigods, they have a very ghastly form. And you can see those forms in the universal form of the Lord as well. One of them is Kali. She has got multiple heads with tongue hanging out, and it's quite a fearful form to look at. And this Kal, there are these people in India, they are not nice. I don't think they're very good people. They are they go to these shamshans, they go to the cemeteries, and they do all sort of black magic. And their worshipable deity is this Kal Bhairav, what Prabhupada has mentioned. I don't know about now, but in the past days, in the olden days, this used to be very common, that these people would practice this black magic. It was called Tantra Vidya or something like that. And so Prabhupada is telling us that even those deities who have a very ghastly form, even those we must not disrespect them, but we must use our wisdom that people who will worship them will be very in the mode of good ignorance. And we have to rise above all that. We have to establish ourselves minimum in the mode of goodness. And for that, we have to worship Vishnu Tattvas.
Thank you. Very nicely explained. For anyone not from an Indian background, if we're talking about Kali, Mahakali, and so on, you might have seen Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where human sacrifice. Actually, these demigods, these Kali and Mahakali, they're also servants of the Lord, of course. they traditionally in India, they were given human sacrifice. Human sacrifice. So there is a very nice story. I don't know if I can remember correctly, get it together. If not, Pandava Prabhu, you can help me. There was a king and his minister, and the king went for a hunting trip in the forest. And somehow or other, he cut his finger. And his servant, welcome Amar, and his servant was saying, it's all God's mercy. And the king became very angry. Why are you saying, I cut my finger off, and you're saying it's God's mercy? And he put him into jail. And he went back out on hunting. And while on the hunting trip, he was attacked by some dacoits, by some Kali worshippers. That's a connection. And they saw he had a beautiful, strong body. They want to offer him to the goddess Kali. And he was frightened, of course, and he couldn't defend himself. And his minister was in his prison, in his dungeon. And so when they were ready to offer him in human sacrifice, they realized he has one finger missing. And they said, no, that is an imperfect offering. We cannot offer him to the goddess. He has a finger missing. So they released him. And he went happily back home, and he went to his minister, and he released him from prison. And welcome, Ben. You got booted, did you? And he spoke with him, minister, and said, now I can understand. Said, it's God's mercy. What you said, it's God's mercy. I cut my finger. And because of that mercy, because of that cut my finger, I thought it was a very bad thing, and I put you to prison. But actually, that saved my life from the Kali worshippers. That I understand. But what I don't understand, what you said it's God's mercy when I threw you into prison also. So why is that God's mercy? So the minister explained, that's also God's mercy. Because if you would not have put me into prison, I would have followed you in the forest, and they would have offered me in human sacrifice instead of you. And that was Krishna's mercy as well. So that was a very nice story. Hare Krishna. So everything is Krishna's mercy. We may not see it like that, but actually it is, and we may realize that later on. So we got a very wonderful group here. Welcome Amar, Amit, Ben, Dharm, Jayanti Bai, Pandava, Prabhu, Bhagavati Mataji, Rashmi, Zamir, Varshana. Hare Krishna. So everybody is there. I have one more note here. What is mukti, liberation? We spoke so much about mukti. And why should we want it? And we have touched on that Brahma, Buddha, Prasanatma. That's Bhagavad Gita 1854. What are the benefits of that mukti, of that liberation? That verse said, fully joyful. Who wouldn't want to be fully joyful? Never lamenting and never desiring anything. Equally disposed towards every living entity. Who wouldn't want that? People try to be equal to all living entities, to humans, to animals, to plants, and very difficult to achieve that. Generally humanitarian, people trying to be equal to humans and not distinguish and lower and higher and hate and love. That is generally most. But all living entities, so. And of course, on that stage, one gains pure devotional service. The present verse says non-envious. In the verse itself, respect all. These are some wonderful qualities. Most people are envious. Most people are envious of something or someone. So here, to develop this, when we come to that liberated platform, and even before, we become non-envious and we respect all. As Rashmi has explained, the Mahachans, and not only the Mahachans, the devotees are respecting even these ghastly forms. Respect, they don't worship these forms, but they respect because they know people will rise to a higher consciousness. Would one not think these being non-envious and respect all are desirable qualities? These are qualities of those who are serious about liberation. It says in the Bhagavatam, these are in the verse itself, these are the qualities of those who are serious about liberation. Not even those who have achieved liberation, but those who are even serious on the path of liberation. And that verse, Brahma Buddha Prasanatma, just for the record again, translation, when one is thus transcendently situated, at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Amazing how one develops all these desirable qualities just by hearing the message of the Bhagavatam. So the Bhagavatam, I just said to someone today, as mentioned before, this is not Bhagavad Gita, where you can jump from this verse, the 18th chapter, to this verse, to this verse. This is Bhagavatam, where one verse builds on the next. And if we have missed one verse, one shloka, or if we're missing too many shlokas, then our house of bhakti will crumble eventually. So therefore we make recordings, we make that available so we can catch up. Each shloka builds on the next one. So this is Bhagavatam. Would we get these qualities by hearing or reading mundane literature, novels, science fiction, or by watching mundane cinema or TV programs? Again, we coming to the narrative. Different narratives about the material affairs we are engrossed in. Would we get these qualities there? Okay, here, anyone has any question or any comment? Samir?
Prabhuji, I just wanted to mention that beyond the stage of liberation is one who's engaged in pure devotional service.
Yes, that is very important. That is just that Brahma Buddha Prasanatma said Brahma Buddha platform, that is a liberated platform. But then on that platform, pure devotional service starts, right? That's a starting point for pure devotional service. It's not the ending point. Liberation, job finished. No, the impersonalists think like that. Liberation achieved, job finished. There's nothing more than that. No, that's a starting point. On the liberated platform, we can offer Krishna some meaningful service. I mean, just let's put ourselves into Krishna's position. Or let's take an example. We have a dear friend, or our father, our mother, or husband or wife. We give them a present. Now Christmas is coming up. Let's speak of a Christmas present. We give a present, but with condition attached. I give you that present, but if you do this and that for me. Yes, I know Ben, you're struggling. Ben is struggling with a connection today. But try. If not, we'll have a recording available. So, if we...
it's all right then, but I'm back in now.
Welcome back.
I had to disconnect things and reconnect them and get get the
Sometimes
problem sorted out, yeah.
that's a solution sometimes, yes.
Okay.
I have said regularly with my microphone, I had to disconnect just now, 10 seconds ago, disconnect the microphone and put it back on, because after some time it gets kind of funny, noises. So, if we give our father, our mother, wife, husband a present, and we attach a condition to it, this is your present with love from your dear daughter, from your dear son, but only if you do something in return for me. So that is to the best, it's blackmail, it's a condition attached, it's okay, but it's not that pleasing. So let's compare that with we giving our father, our mother, our wife, our husband a present with absolutely no condition attached. Just from the bottom of our heart. That's for you, because I love you. That's a different story. So with Krishna, it's the same thing. Anything before that liberated platform, that Brahma Buddha platform, they're conditioned attached. We give to Krishna, but we want also something back. Even peacefulness, even peace of mind, contentness, this and that, so many, a million. It doesn't have to necessarily be gross material things. Oh, my dear Krishna, please let me pass my driving test, or this or that. Of course, it needs to be said, at least we come to Krishna for that. That's already a progressive stage. But that's not the topmost stage. The topmost stage is after liberation. How pleased will Krishna be if we are liberated from the conditions, from the material qualities? We are self-satisfied. We don't want anything from Krishna. All what we want is to give some service to him, to please him. That is where devotional service starts. That is what Samir just reminded us. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Anyone else has to say something to that shloka?
I want to ask a question, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Just a quick one. What does this word plenary portion mean? It comes up again and again.
Yes, it does. Plenary portion. Pandava Prabhu, Bhagavati Mataji, what is a plenary portion? It's good we're asking this kind of question because these terms need to be clarified, because these terms coming up again and again and again. So, anyone has an answer to that? Yes, please.
I'm because English is not my first language. I also looked up into dictionary, so I would recommend also to use the dictionary. What this plenary means. It's normally used in a government or some judicial terminology, but it means that these are expansions of the power. So in this case, these are expansions of Krishna. So, but this is a very fancy word. But it means that these are expansions, which means Krishna expands himself in so many unlimited forms. So that's why they are like interconnected with him. So like in this verse you were reading, and then verse before, the other forms are not on the same level as Vishnu Tattvas. So all the Vishnu Tattvas are nothing, they're also plenary portions. And we are, or Jiva Tattvas or Shakti Tattvas are not really plenary portions of Vishnu. That's how I would say.
Thank you. Yes, plenary means full. As you mentioned, in the context of judicial or government, there is a word plenum. I had good fortune at the time. I didn't think so. I hated it in school. But I had the good fortune of learning a little bit of Latin. So these words coming all from Latin, plenum, like an assembly. It's a full assembly, plenum. Everybody is there. So full, that meaning of full is attached, plenary portion. So in that sense, it means, yes, Vishnu Tattva, plenary portion, they have full powers. What Ben is doing something here, plenary portion. Let's have a look. Complete in all respects, unlimited or full, a diplomat with plenary powers, full attended by all qualified members, a plenary session of the council. Yes, exactly. That's the meaning. That's the meaning of plenary portion. So this, and in the verse, it tells us, the Vishnu Tattvas, they have so full powers. They will be different Vishnus and so on, different forms, but they have the full powers of the Lord. While we are separate portions, we don't have the full powers. We have little powers, not in full. In quality, we have the qualities, but in a very limited way. So therefore, the point is made very clearly to distinguish between Vishnu Tattva and the Jiva Tattva. Not to mix up the demigods with Vishnu Tattva or any human beings with Vishnu Tattva or someone declaring themselves an incarnation or all these kind of things are going on. Because the ultimate benefit we can only receive from Vishnu Tattva. Tattva means truth, a category, Vishnu category, truth about Vishnu, you could say. So this distinction is there, and we'll hear much more about that. Who is Vishnu Tattva? As a practical example, Vishnu Tattva, when we have in our temples on the altar, Vishnu Tattva is on the top platform. And even spiritual master is not Vishnu Tattva. Spiritual master, even so, we heard recently he's worshipped, respected and worshipped like Krishna. He gets the same arti and so on because he is an ambassador like Bhagavati Mataji, so nicely explained. An ambassador gets the same respect as the president of the country, as a prime minister is respected. So if we disrespect an ambassador, then we disrespect the entire country, really. So, but still, Guru is on our altars one step down. It's on a lower platform. We'll never put, except maybe our home altars, we cannot do that. But if we have the facility of a two-step altar, then the second step down, that is where the Guru Parampara sits. And on the higher steps is only Vishnu Tattva. Nrsimhadev is Vishnu Tattva. Gaunitai, Radha Krishna, of course, and so on. So Guru Tattva is a little bit lower. So this distinction is important. So what else? Does that make clear, Rashmi? What is the Ben did post something more? We can read that in.
Yes, it is made very clear. Thank you.
Yes. So these terms have to be cleared. Okay. If there are no questions, we'll stop here. We'll stop here on this shloka. Yes, does this mean... who posted that? One moment, there's some questions coming up. Dharm. Does this mean each plenary portion contains all the 64 qualities of Lord Krishna? Who can answer that? Samir.
No.
Explain.
I think My short answer was no to that, because I think that Krishna is the one who has all 64, and then there's Lord Ram who has a little bit less, and it goes down like that.
Ben, what do you have to say?
Well, Krishna is he's the original source. He's the source of the plenary portions, and he's completely full within himself, the original supreme person, and the expansions. They are all obviously expansions of Krishna, but they've all got a specific function and role to play. They're non-different from Krishna, but qualitatively wise, in terms of Krishna's full potencies and qualities, he has them 100% at the level of 100%, and other plenary portions, they have them in different degrees because they're not in the same ras as Krishna. His ras is Golok Vrindavan, and the plenary portions, they're doing different spiritual activities, like the different Purusha incarnations and the various avatars. They're all doing something different, and they're not manifesting the qualities of Krishna.
Thank you. Interesting. Yes, I think we have to distinguish between power and qualities. Vishnu Tattva, we heard said earlier, they have also powers of Godhead. The powers are there, therefore they are plenary portions. But qualities is something different. Like what Ben spoke about, Krishna has 100% the qualities of Bhagavan that is mentioned in the Shastra. Bhagavan. Krishna is 100% Bhagavan. The qualities of Bhagavan. And there are a whole list we can find of qualities of the Lord. One of Krishna's qualities, we put him above all others, is he's playing his flute. Ben.
No, I was just about to actually say the same thing.
Yes.
That's one of the things that the other incarnations, they don't do. They don't play the flute. That's the sole activity of Krishna.
Yes.
That's why their qualities, they may come up to maybe 94.
Yes.
But there's 6% of things that are unique to Krishna that the other plenary portions, they don't display, but they have the full potency and power of Krishna.
Yes, that's my understanding also. And I have here a list. Krishna is 100% Bhagavan. Narayan is 94, as you just said, is 94% Bhagavan. Shiva is 84% Bhagavan. And the living entities are 78% Bhagavan. So there are different amounts, percentage of qualities. So that is quite interesting. So Dharm, I hope that clears it out. So I think we want to stop here at this point. We will not take another verse because we have already 8:45, and 9 o'clock about we want to finish. Now I would love to spend a little bit of time before we do a few minutes Kirtan to hear about the different activities in devotees' environment. Not everybody has to say something, but who wants to say something? I personally, I would be interested in hearing from Pandav Prabhu and his warehouse preaching, and from Rashmi about his her Sunday group preaching, Samir about his Africa preaching, and so on. So who can share a little bit something with us? Ben, is that you? Yes. You want to share something of your personal circumstances, experience? Your microphone is on. Does that mean you want to share something?
There's nothing really to share about sharing any real Krishna consciousness with
That's okay.
anyone at the moment.
Okay. Okay, someone else has something to share? Samir has his hand up, and then Pandava. Samir?
Yes, Prabhuji. So I've got a couple of stories, but maybe I'll just share one of them because
yes,
time's passing on.
Yes.
Obviously the girls here, some of them are chanting, and I shared that one already. One particular girl, I wrote it down for her, and wrote the Maha Mantra down. And she said after she's been chanting, her life has changed in so many ways. Her sister is now talking to her, and before that she wasn't talking, and she's managed to, start a little small business in Africa as well, because she said because of chanting, as soon as I started chanting, her life changed. But the one that really kind of touched my heart was I was in Rwanda, and the owner of the hotel, he's from the UK, and he's a Pakistani guy, but he's married to a local Rwandese girl. And basically one morning the person who comes to serve breakfast to me, he was late. So I asked him, I said, what happened? He said, the owner had a heart attack in the morning, early hours, about 4:00. I says, oh my goodness. So anyway, so the owner is in hospital, and this is in Rwanda, and the hospitals in Rwanda are not that brilliant. So he's in hospital, and then the next evening I come to reception, and the owner's wife, like I said, she's local Rwandese girl. She was in a lot of distress. So she came to me, and there was a lot of people around her and stuff. And she says, oh, Samir, I can't find the keys. I said, what do you mean? She says, we need to go to Kenya, and I can't find the keys to the safe because the passports are in the safe. And she was really distressed. She goes, oh, I need the keys. And I says, okay, just calm down. And I told her to calm down, and I said to her, I said, look, just meditate on the Lord. And literally she just stopped, started breathing. I said, take some deep breaths. She took some deep breaths, and she started meditating on the Lord. And literally, maybe less than even 1 minute, the keys appeared. One of her workers brought the keys to her. She was just amazed by that. She says, I think you saved my husband's life. I said, no. I didn't save your husband's life. But, the Lord came. Just believe in the Lord. And then after that, they went to Kenya, and everything was okay. They came back again, back to Rwanda, back to the hotel. And then she says, I want to speak to you. And then I started to preach to her about life and everything. So now what she does in the morning, early in the morning, she goes for walks, but she's chanting the name of the Lord. So I just wanted to share that one. It was just amazing how that actually happened. It was very nice, very beautiful Leela of how Krishna just brought the key like that.
Jai Haribol. What a beautiful, beautiful story. Look at that. I mean, Krishna is there in our life, and we bring it into other people's life. And I mean, Samir, that is absolutely wonderful. A wonderful story, and wonderful how you acted in those circles. Of course, a devotee would act like that, and Krishna is reciprocating. And this lady is now chanting Hare Krishna. I hope the husband will also chant Hare Krishna. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Before I take Pandava Prabhu and his story, I want to apologize, Amit, to you. You were supposed to read the last shloka, but Rashmi, she jumped the queue, basically. I'm not aware, because you were first.
Garanga, that's fine. That is okay. That is no problem.
Next time you'll take the shloka.
Yeah, no, fine. It's no problem.
I realized that once Rashmi was already reading, and I thought, now I can't stop it anymore.
Yeah, no, it's no problem.
Okay, Pandava Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Let's say I don't have any great stories to tell, but definitely I see how in time I get much more friendly approach from people of India who work there. And I was about to say it before, but that's what at the beginning of Kartik, the temple in downtown was open once, but due to this COVID was closed for the rest of the Kartik, but that was the only time I was able to go to the temple, and there was altar made and deity of Damodar and Yashoda, and I invited one of the co-workers who I see pretty much every day, a very nice, shy, humble person. He always say Hare Krishna when he sees me, or is a competition, either me or him say Hare Krishna. Sometimes during the day, also occasionally. It's hard for me to talk to him because his English is not really well communicative. So, but I told him about that evening and Damodara Darshan. So he went there, and I met him. I was about to leave, but he just came in. So he was there, and devotees had books in Gujarati, because I realized that I had some English books, and I tried to either sell or give them, but they don't feel comfortable reading English. So finally I asked the devotees in the temple if they have some books in Gujarati, because most of them are Gujaratis. And I got few, I had Krishna book, Science of Self-Realizations, Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers, few, and something also, some other small book. So when this devotee came, so we sat after the darshan, we spoke for a few minutes, and he bought from me 3 books. So that was little Sankirtan. And there are a few other people who also say Hare Krishna when they see me. And there are 2 ladies, and they prefer Jai Shri Krishna instead of Hare Krishna. And so we always exchange. This is sometimes very cool, because in the morning the environment and everything is rather, for me, sometimes it's kind of depressing. And then when I walk around and one of these ladies was like, Peter, you didn't say Jai Shri Krishna to me today. So, so sometimes they come first. So, which is very, very inspiring. And one of those, because they work together in pairs at the table, and there was a newcomer, and she couldn't really understand what was all about our conversation. And that lady who says Jai Shri Krishna, she said to her, Peter believes or he worships Krishna. And that girl, means a young girl, she said, wow, I'm so impressed. So I realized that sometimes when we have those kind of conversations, for them it's really unusual that white guy can be Krishna conscious. So I don't still have closer exchange, but I still have few more books, and I will try to use this this time before Christmas to either give away those books or ask for some donations, so they can also benefit from Prabhupada's literature. And that's pretty much my report from work.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. You're doing book distribution at Walker. I mean, Srila Prabhupada will be certainly very much pleased. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Anybody else has a story before we going in a little bit of Kirtan? No? Okay. So we're going in 5 minutes Kirtan and then we finish for tonight. It was absolutely wonderful to have you here and to have your association.
Honorable Pandava Prabhu, it would be nice if you could save one Gujarati book of Krishna for Sushila Ben. I'm sure she would appreciate it. That would be nice.
What book? Again?
One of the Gujarati books. You said you've got translation in Gujarati. Well, one of the devotees who comes to the temple, she also cooks sometimes, Sushila Ben. Rashmi knows her very well, Sushila Ben. So she will appreciate that in Gujarati. If you could save a book for me.
Jai Hare Krishna.
I still have some, but
yeah, that would be good.
You need to send me. Anyway, we'll get in touch how I can give it to you.
Sure. Thank you.
No problem.
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. The Gujarati books are always in demand. I don't have any here at all. So, Pandava Prabhu, you are doing that transcendental exchange. Okay. Here we are with a little bit of Kirtan before we finish for tonight. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radhe Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radhe Radha London Ishwar Radha London Ishwar Radhe Radha London Ishwar Radha London Ishwar Radhe Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jayo Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jayo Radha Gopinatha Radha Gopinatha Radhe Radha Gopinatha Radha Gopinatha Radhe Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Ji Radha Govinda Radhe Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radhe Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jai Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Giri Govardhan 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 Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jai Nitai Sachi Sundar Nitai Sachi Sundar Nitai Sachi Sundar Nitai Sachi Sundar Jai Jai Nitai Sachi Sundar Nitai Sachi Sundar Nitai Sachi Sundar Nitai Sachi Sundar Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Gurudev 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 Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Gurudev Vancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Hare Krishna. Let us offer our most respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees and who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and are full of compassion to the fallen and conditioned souls. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for the beautiful, beautiful program tonight. Our lockdown program. Thank you, Amit, for being here. Ben, Dharm Jayanti, Bhai, Bandava, Prabhu. Greet Bhagavati Mataji. Hope she feels better. Samir, Varshana, Mataji. Thank you all for being there. Next week we'll do again a little bit of some stories, maybe some others, or if they're extraordinary stories, maybe Amit, you have something to contribute from what you have experienced when meeting people. I don't know if you meet people. We'll see next week. So in this way we have a little bit of some sharing something from our personal life. So here we stop on that note, and all please do stay safe. Remember Krishna as much as possible, and we'll meet again on Wednesday. Hare Krishna.